Have you ever wondered why so many female idols are expected to look younger than they actually are? Not just even young, more like child. Soft voice, big eyes, school uniforms, baby talk, ego, acting shy, acting innocent, acting like they are 15 when actually they are 25. So, for some people, it is a concept. Some call it a fan service, others dismiss it as a fashion trend. But I don't think it's just a fashion trend. This aesthetics tells us something much bigger about what society rewards women for being. The cute girl aesthetic wasn't always about selling innocence. In many ways, it began as the exact opposite. To understand that, we have to go back over 100 years. Japan. Early 1900s, the country was modernizing rapidly. More girls were getting access to education. For the first time, many young women weren't immediately transitioning from childhood into marriage. They had a short period of life where they could simply exist as girls. And from that period emerged something called shoujo culture. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. I checked it's shoujo, but sometimes some mispronunciation can happen because it is not my language word. So shoujo culture wasn't a political revolution, it was something quieter. Through magazines, poetry, fashion, art, and friendships, girls created a world that belonged to them. A world where they didn't constantly have to think about becoming someone's wife or fitting into rigid expectations of adulthood. Many scholars describe it as a temporary refugee from patriarchal expectation. But history has a strange way of turning resistance into products. Eventually, what started as a space for self-expression slowly became an image that could be packaged, marketed, and mass-produced. Innocence became branding, youth became branding, softness too became branding, and over time the industry didn't just sell music anymore. It started selling femininity itself. So if you think that this is just a piece of clothing, then you are quite wrong, because it sells something deeper. It feeds into patriarchy, because that is what patriarchy wants women to be. Women to be docile, women to be submissive and shut up when they say and speak when they say, behave certain way, that the way they want, and do not question them in any ways. And that could be only when you're a childlike. Most probably, I want to make one thing very clear before somebody misunderstands. There's this. I have to speak this phrase in every video of mine, but yeah, please do not misunderstand me. There is absolutely nothing wrong with liking cute fashion or wearing frocks or something like that. No, everybody does. It's normal, you know. There is nothing wrong with pastel colors, with bows, with speaking softly, or being feminine if that's what your personality is, or being masculine if that's what your personality is. The problem begins when these stop being choices and start becoming expectations. When industries repeatedly reward women for looking younger, speaking softer, acting more innocent, or presenting themselves as eternally childlike, they aren't just selling clothes or concepts anymore. They are promoting a very specific version of femininity. One where being agreeable is rewarded more than being outspoken. One where innocence is considered more desirable than confidence. One where softness is celebrated, but anger, authority, assertiveness are often seen undesirable and reserved for men. And that's why I don't think this conversation is really about fashion now. It's about the kind of woman society chooses to celebrate. Because if generation after generation grows up seeing quote-unquote idle woman as someone who is forever young, forever sweet, forever agreeable, and forever non-threatening. One more thing to it, like how people say like men with age grow like wine, and for women there is hardly like that. They're on to this constant pressure of looking young, looking desirable, and in acting industry they are typecasted so early. And while 50 years old, 60 years old, 65 years old men play hero character, whereas 30 years old, 40, 45 years old, they are being pushed to side roles. of doing any auntie or mother. That's not wrong, but the thing is about typecasting, and these all things are interlinked. These all cutesy things, soft smoking, and these all things, these are how they present women. They have absolutely something that feeds into that. It's interconnected. Maybe the aesthetic isn't just reflecting a culture, maybe it's helping shape it. This is exactly where K-pop enters the conversation. Because if there is one industry that has perfected the business of selling an image, it's K-pop. And in my opinion, that's where one of the industry's biggest problem begins. Now I want to make one thing clear, that this problem of sexualizing children, sexualizing girl is not unique to K-pop industry. But the topic is what today, infantilization in K-pop industry. So the topic the scenarios we are going to cover is obviously the K-pop one. This dimension will be K-pop one. So no need to get offended that you're just being nitpicky and you're just trying to be very pokey and you hate K-pop or something. Please, that's not my motive at all. And then there is something else I have noticed. I don't want to throw shade on anyone. Everybody is working hard. I'm not saying if somebody is somewhere that they deserve it, they have put in hard work, but songs are literally shrill. They are made in a way that it hurts your ears. Like, there are groups like they are small, coming from small companies, and they do good music. What I'm trying to say is that you will open the comment sections and find thousands of people calling every release a masterpiece. They are trying to sell anything in the name of K-pop. There are say even Justin Bieber releases a music and they can be scrutiny, but at this point I feel like a K-pop idol produces anything and people will be like simping for it, because it has become a brand. At some point the discussion has stopped being about music. Everything is perfect now. Every comeback is quote unquote the album of the year. Every song is no skip. Every performance is legendary. Be allowed to be criticized. You can love an artist and still admit when a song isn't their best. Those two things can exist at the same time. But in many online spaces, criticism isn't treated as discussion. It is treated as betrayal, and that's dangerous because when fans stop asking for better music, better vocals, better live performances, companies have very little reason to prioritize those things. Because when you can sell looks, when you can sell makeup, when you can sell outfits, why do you have to put in effort for music? And nowadays I've been noticing that authentic music, nostalgic music, we are being like, everybody is in that race, in horde of making quote unquote the viral music that everybody else will make TikTok and shorts, in horde of getting a viral song which makes literally any sense. I have many examples to it, but even in Bollywood there are such songs which have no item to it, and they are heavily criticized. But in this industry, what I've seen is people are in race of releasing viral songs which has no item to it. One word, there would be 50 times repetition of that same word, and that the song is there. It's just viral TikToks being made, but that's it. Okay, yes, the point of music is to enjoy, is to have you release your worries and stress, and you can have that groove. But having no substance to it and selling just whatever is also not a thing. Companies have very little reason to prioritize those things, as I said before. And why would they? If millions of albums are already selling, if concerts are already selling out, if photo cards are worth hundreds of dollars, if every teaser trends worldwide because it's just another viral song with no to none substance to it, then from a business perspective, the system is already working, not necessarily for music, but certainly for profit. And the idols are in the problem. Who's saying they are the problem? Because most of if you see the trend, they are like 14-15 years of age. You cannot expect them to make songs. They are performers, right? This thing is not about idols, okay? This is about the ecosystem that's running it, this idol thing. Idols are in the problem, as I said before. Most of them are doing everything they can. The companies are responding to what the market rewards, and the market keeps rewarding image, which means image becomes the product, and once image becomes the product, talent risks become secondary. Now, before someone clips this video and says, so you're saying being curious bad. No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I meant. In my opinion, there is absolutely nothing wrong with being feminine or masculine if that's what your personality is. There is nothing wrong with liking pink, nothing wrong with bows or makeup or speaking softly, nothing wrong with ego if that's genuinely who you are. Choice is never the problem. The problem, in my view, begins when industry repeatedly rewards one specific version of femininity over other version. When looking younger becomes more marketable than looking mature, when appearing innocent becomes more profitable than appearing confident, when soft is celebrated but being loud, opinionated, or assertive is often seen as less desirable. That's where I start asking questions, because from my perspective, these aren't just fashion choices anymore. They are business decisions, and businesses repeat whatever sells. Now, does this happen everywhere? No. Does every company do this? No. Does every fan think this way? Of course not. But personally, I have noticed this pattern often enough that I can't ignore it anymore, especially in girl groups. And again, this is just my observation. Whenever I watch survival shows, debut announcements, I can't help but notice how much emphasis is placed on visuals. Now, specifically, if I talk about Southeast Asia, then condition of China is something which is not hidden. Everybody know how obsessed they are with surgeries, looking like idols, things, and each day they have something to enhance in their body. They find some filler, doing it themselves. It's all over the internet. And there are so many cosmetic clinics which are not even legal. They don't have authorization. They don't have enough of certificates to run. Whenever I watch survival shows or debut announcements, I cannot help but notice how much emphasis is placed on visuals. Visual evaluations, camera tests, face, body proportions, skin, hair styling. All of these things seem to receive enormous attention. Sometimes, at least from where I'm standing, it feels like talent is expected while visuals are celebrated. And that generally makes me so sad, because I know there are incredibly talented singers, incredibly talented dancers, people who have spent years training who may never get the same opportunities simply because they don't fit a particular beauty standard. Meanwhile, someone who perfectly matches that image may receive more investment because companies believe they can train the skills later. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe there are business reasons I don't understand, or I have just something very baseless have spoken, but that's how it often looks to me. And then there is the audience. I don't think companies operate in a vacuum. Companies sell what people buy. If visuals generate more clicks, more merchandise sales, more luxury brand deals, more engagement, then naturally companies will keep investing in visuals. That's how business works. What you want is what you get. And maybe that's the uncomfortable truth. Maybe companies aren't creating demand, maybe they are responding to it, which means we as an audience also become part of the conversation, because every click, every photo got purchased, every viral fan cam, every comment praising appearance before performances sends a message about what we value. But there's another thing that honestly worries me. Over the years, K-pop has become something much bigger than music. It has become a brand, and once something becomes brand, people stop buying it only because of quality. They buy it because of identity, because community, because loyalty. Sometimes it often's like people defend a company, a group, or a comeback before they even have allowed themselves to ask, do I actually like this? Again, that's just my opinion. I've listened to songs that I personally thought were average, not terrible, not amazing, just average. Then I would open the comments and see thousands of people calling it a masterpiece. Maybe they genuinely loved it, and that's completely fine. Music is subjective, most of the things are. But sometimes I wonder if this exact same song came from an unknown artist with no fandom, would people react the same way? Even something outside K-pop, I think, would people be like that? I honestly don't know, but I think it's a question worth asking, because healthy fandom should allow disagreement. You should be able to criticize a song without being accused of hating the artist. Art grows through criticism, not through blind praise. And before I end this video, I want to make one thing absolutely clear. This is not the idol's fault, and who I am to point out anybody else's fault. Most idols didn't create this system, they are surviving inside it. They train harder than most of us can imagine. They are under impossible pressure every single day. If anything, I think they are victims of the same system. Companies chase profit, the audience rewards certain images, and the idols are expected to fit whatever image sells. And that's why, in my opinion, the biggest problem isn't one idol, one company, or one fandom. It's the incentive structure system that rewards marketability, and marketability often rewards image. Which brings us all the way back to where this video started over 100 years ago. Shoujo culture gave many girls a small space where they could exist outside rigid expectation. Today, some of these aesthetics have become products sold by billion-dollar entertainment industry. The escape become the product, and maybe the next time we see the cutest girl aesthetic, instead of asking, isn't she adorable, we should also ask, who benefits from this image? The most powerful thing about an aesthetic isn't what it looks like, it's what it quietly teaches us to admire.